with you here today on the other side of information with Jeff Kennedy, co- um, right now temporarily hosted by his brother from another mother, Cole Goodman. And we are going to have a great show today. I want to start off, excuse me, by saying that unfortunately, our special guest for today, Dr. Joyce Davis, um, is under the weather. So she will not be able to join us today, but we're going to go over a few topics that, I've found during the week and wanted to discuss with you guys and get your thoughts on what you think about them. And we're going to jump right into it. It's been a very interesting week in the country, geopolitically. Um, excuse me. Something's going around Harrisburg, and I've almost lost my voice. So if I'm coughing during this, I really apologize. Just bear with me. I wanted to start off by reading an article by someone that, in 2016 in the general, I voted for in the general. In the primary, I did not. Uh, Someone who, I do have respect for. I think she is a very accomplished woman. And I saw this article that she wrote in the New York Times and read it and thought, man, I got to share this with the group. I really got to share this with the group and see what you guys think about this opinion. And that is an article by former Secretary of State, former First Lady, and former U.S. Senator from the state of New York, Hillary Clinton. Now, as many of you remember, uh, h- uh, uh, Secretary Clinton ran for president in 2016. Well, in 2008 as well, ran for president. Um, Lost in the primary to then Senator, now former President, President Barack Obama. Uh, Became his Secretary of State and then transitioned after Secretary of State to being a presidential candidate again in 2016, running against U.S. Senator from Vermont and People's Champion, in my opinion, Senator Bernard Sanders, Bernie Sanders. Um, there was a lot of controversy in the 2016 election with how the DNC uh, treated Bernie, whether it was fair or not. And going forward, we'll have guests on the show that we will talk about that topic right there, whether the 2016 election and the remnants of the 2016 election and what we're seeing of how we are where we're at today. But I want to share this article with you. I really do because I thought it was a very interesting piece, and I know Jeff has manned the helm of this show for all opinions to be listened to, all opinions to be respected, and that is a something that I will also bring in his stead temporarily, and making sure that we're hearing from all sides of the coin. So this is an article that was that she did a guest essay in the New York Times, and she titled it, "How much dumber will this get? How much dumber will this get?" I'm going to read the article. I think it's a very interesting read. I think there's a lot of interesting topics that we'll go on to discuss here in the next hour or so, and I'm very interested. If you're in the chat, please drop any thoughts, questions, concerns. Would love to hear it, would love to see it. But I'm going to start off by reading this article by Secretary Hillary Clinton that was dropped in the New York Times this week. It's not the hypocrisy that bothers me, it's the stupidity. We're all shocked that President Trump and his team don't actually care about protecting classified information or federal record retention laws. But we knew that already. What's much worse is that top Trump administration officials put our troops in jeopardy by sharing military plans on a commercial messaging app and unwittingly invited a journalist into the chat. That's dangerous, and it's just dumb. Secretary Clinton goes on to say, "This is the latest in a string of self-inflicted wounds by the new administration that are squandering America's strength and threatening our national security. Firing hundreds of federal workers charged with protecting our nation's nuclear weapons is also dumb. So is shutting down efforts to fight pandemics, just as deadly as the Ebola outbreak is spreading in Africa. It makes no sense to purge talented generals, diplomats, and spies at a time when rivals like China and Russia are trying to expand their global reach. In a dangerous and complex world, it's not enough to be strong. You must also be smart. As Secretary of State during the Obama administration, I argued for smart power, integrating the hard power of our military with the soft power of our diplomacy, development, assistance, economic might, and cultural influence. None of those tools can do the job alone. Together, they make America a superpower. The Trump approach is dumb power. Instead of a strong America using all our strength to lead the world and confront our adversaries, Mr. Trump's America will be increasingly blind and blundering, feeble and friendless. Let's start with the military, because that's what he claims to care about. That's James in the question. That's a very good question. I've been thinking about that this week, James. I'm going to get through the article and then let's have that discussion for sure. Don't let the swagger fool you. Mr. Trump and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, uh, of who was in that chat group, by the way, apparently more focused on performative fights over wokeness than preparing for real fights with America's adversaries. Does anyone really think deleting tributes to the Tuskegee Airmen makes us more safe? The Trump Pentagon purged images of the plane that dropped the atomic bomb that ended World War II because its name is the Enola Gay. Dumb. He said dumb. Instead of working with Congress to modernize the military's budget to reflect changing threats, the president is firing top generals without credible justification. 5 former secretaries of defense, Republicans and Democrats, rightly warned that this would undermine our all volunteer force and weaken our national security. Mass layoffs are also hitting the intelligence agencies. As one former senior spy put it, we're shooting ourselves in the head, not the foot. Not smart. This reckless with America's hard power, it's no surprise that they're shredding our soft power. As a former Secretary of State, I am particularly alarmed by the administration's plan to close embassies and consulates, fire diplomats, and destroy the U.S. Agency for International Development. Let me explain why this matters. Because it's less widely understood than the importance of tanks and fighter jets. This is really the part of the article that I thought was very interesting and very interesting light she shedded on this, especially as a former Secretary of State. I visited 112 countries and traveled nearly 1 million miles as America's top diplomats. Talk about getting frequent flyer miles, right? And I've seen how valuable it is for our country to be represented on the ground in far flung places. The U.S. military has long understood that our forces must be forward deployed in order to project American power and respond quickly to crises. The same is true of our diplomats. Our embassies are eyes and ears informing policy decisions back home. They are launch pads for operations that keep us safe and prosperous, from training foreign counterterrorism forces to helping U.S. companies enter new markets. China understands, or as Trump says, China understands the value of forward deployed diplomacy, which is why it has opened new embassies and consulates around the world and now has more than the United States. The Trump administration's retreat would leave the field open for Beijing to spread its influence uncontested. Diplomats win America's friends, so we don't have to go at it alone in a competitive world. That's how my colleagues and I were able to rally the United Nations to impose crippling sanctions against Iran's nuclear program and ultimately force Tehran to stop its progress towards a bond, something Mr. Trump's bluster has failed to do. And he actually defunded inspectors keeping an eye on Iranian research sites. Dumb. Diplomacy is cost effective, especially compared with military action. Preventing wars is cheaper than fighting them. Mr. Trump's own former Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis, a retired Marine Corps 4-star general, told Congress, if you don't fund the State Department fully, then I need to buy more ammunition. Not saying I'm a Mattis fan, but very interesting quote. Our development assistant has always been a small portion of the federal budget, but it also has an outsized impact on international stability, especially paired with effective diplomacy. When American aid dollars help stop a famine or an outbreak, when we respond to a natural disaster or open schools, we win hearts and minds that might otherwise go to terrorists or rivals like China. We reduce the flow of migrants and refugees, and we strengthen friendly governments that might otherwise collapse. I don't want to pretend that any of this is easy or that American foreign policy hasn't been plagued by mistakes. Leadership is hard, but our best chance to get it right and to keep our country safe is to strengthen our government, not weaken it. And that's what James in the chat was going towards. Are they doing this intentionally? We should invest in the patriots who serve our nation, not insult them. Smart reforms could make federal agencies, including the State Department and USAID, more efficient and effective. During the Clinton administration, my husband's Reinventing Government initiative, led by Vice President Al Gore, worked with Congress to thoughtfully streamline bureaucracy, modernize the workforce, and save billions of dollars. In many ways, it was the opposite of what the Trump administration's slash and burn approach. Today, they are not reinventing government, they're wrecking it. All of this is both dumb and dangerous, and I haven't even gotten to the damage Mr. Trump is doing by cozying up to dictators like Russia's Vladimir Putin, blowing up our alliances, force multipliers that extend our reach and share our burdens, and trashing our moral influence by undermining the rule of law at home. Or how he's tanking our economy and blowing up our national debt. Propagandists in Beijing and Moscow know we are in a global debate about competing systems in government. People and leaders around the world are watching. They are watching to see if democracy can still deliver peace and prosperity or even function. If America is ruled like a banana republic with flagrant corruption and a leader who puts himself above the law, we lose that argument. We also lose the qualities that have made America exceptional and indispensable. If there's a grand strategy at work here, I don't know what it is, Secretary Clinton says. Maybe Mr. Trump wants to return to 19th century spheres of influence. Maybe he's just driven by his own personal grudges and is in way over his head. As a businessman, he bankrupted his Atlantic City casinos. Now he's gambling with the national security of the United States. If this continues, a group chat foul will be the least of our concerns, and all the fists and flag emojis in the world will not save us. Wow. Well, I will first start by saying that my own personal opinion. If we could get authentic Hillary like this when she would run for president, I honestly think she probably could have won. I really do. I know a lot of people have told me that, I feel she's too robotic. She just doesn't connect with me. She doesn't connect with the American people. I personally think she is one of the most qualified people to run for president, but I do get that critique. I do understand that critique. I also will also say I hope that, we're starting to see her drop some things here and there. We need to we we can't regress. We can't recycle the same candidates over and over and think we're going to win. So I hope that she is lobbying uh attacks from the outside. I will just say that out of the deepest respect for her qualifications. I just don't. Her time has. Hmm. The most interesting portion of this for me was her commentary on not knowing, you know, the Secretary Clinton. That there is a strategy, and I'm going to agree with James in the chat. They are doing this intentionally. They are doing this to screw over all of us. It don't even matter if you were stupid enough to vote for him. You're screwed. You are. Those of us who didn't, we're screwed. We're all in the same basket because I personally do not believe this man is in over his head. I think he knows exactly what he is doing. Yes, he puts himself above the law. Um, and what's crazy is we saw that in Trump 1. But this this stupid electorate, deepest respect, but this stupid electorate uh didn't care. And that's because, in my opinion, the people that voted for Trump only voted for themselves, but now they're gonna get screwed. And they should get screwed. I I I hope that this hits their pocketbook as hard as possible. Sharon in the chat said, "I don't care about her being robotic. She was telling the truth. I'm sick of anyone wanting to be uh, valuetained." I hear you. I definitely hear you. I'm bringing up a critique of her, um, but I am right there with you. She was telling the truth then. She did warn everybody that this was going to happen, and the electorate is too stupid to listen. Uh, a willful ignorance, just a willful ignorance uh, of this electorate and putting us all in this position. Where I personally disagree with this article is, I grew up in Eastern Europe. So I grew up in Prague. I grew up next to a place where George W. Bush's son um, is was trying to put American deterrent weapons when the Czech people were saying no, we do not want that here. So I've personally seen the flip side of the United States pushing for that international presence. I think it's a balance. I think there are places where we are valued, and then there are places where we are not valued by the community, um, which we do put bases and such. Uh, but however, she is right. Diplomacy is an art form. Diplomacy is an art form which Trump does not have. And he not only doesn't have it, he is cozying up to dictators. I wouldn't say just even cozying. I believe he's in their pocket, and he's going to sell us all down the road. We've already seen it with Ukraine. The way President Zelensky was treated in the White House. This is a man that campaigned on the promise. I'm going to end this war on day one. What are we, like weeks in, and the war still goes on? Sharon also said in the chat, Trump is being paid. Yes, yes, I completely agree. He's being paid. I'd be interested, Sharon, to see how you how you believe he's being paid. Like by what mechanism? So are you saying like, which I would believe that he is in this for himself. So through his business ventures, they're funneling money into him. So if you want to drop your thought in the chat on that, I'd be just really interested to hear your thought on that. Um, I want to just reiterate something Secretary Clinton said. Diplomats win America friends, so we don't have to go out alone in a competitive world. We are alone now. We are alone. My Canadian friends, my friends in Canada, they they used to love the United States, love the US. I mean, just just message me being like, I want to move here. It's a great country. I was like, you know what? For you being more like for people of color in this country, I may not really say the same thing, but there are certain freedoms that we do have that others around the world do not. Uh, but I could understand them wanting to be like, I want to move here. They hate us now. They absolutely hate us. And I'm not saying they hate me. They hate like specific uh Americans, uh, but they absolutely detest our government, and we have lost the trust of allies for decades. The next president that comes next, who I do believe will be a Democrat. I do. I think that this man has done so much damage, has done so much damage, even to his own electorate. Now, you always have a slice of his electorate that are just in the cult. They're just in the cult. There's nothing you can say. Trump could show up at their door with a gun and rob them himself, and they'll still vote for the man when he does run for a third term. Because I'm telling you guys, that is coming. That is coming. This man will find a way to run for a third term, and it will be up to us to make sure that he is defeated. And going forward, all of his cronies are defeated. But I just want to get back to the previous point that foreign policy, once you lose trust, it is very hard to get it back. The next Democratic president is going to have a lot to clean up. A lot. That is not even possible to clean up in 4 years. It's not even possible. That is how much this man has destroyed our institution and is intentionally, as James said in the chat, destroying the country. Sharon said in the chat, 1 million people plus are dead because of him. Yes, they are. Yes, they absolutely are. And I am going to assume that you're speaking on the pandemic, and I'm sure you know people sharing that friends, loved ones, family that died from COVID because this man was telling people to inject themselves with bleach. This man was not encouraging people to wear masks, trying to do that macho thing in front of the White House where he was just standing there and then he just took off his mask. What a effing joke. An effing joke. Jeff told me before I came on as a temporary host that if I cuss, I have to put some money in the swear jar. So, and it's really tough times, so I'm going to be abbreviating my cuss words because I don't have the I can't afford to be putting money in the swear jar. James said anyone in the chat said anyone that calls veterans like me, my brother, and GCPR's own Thomas Bishop lovers and suckers does not deserve to lead our military. First, James, I just want to first thank you, your brother, and Thomas for your service to our country, to this nation, for keeping us safe. And I can't imagine the things that you have seen and what you've went through. Um, uh, and then to have, I'll put this in very, very big air quotes, a commander in chief that gets up and calls our service men and women suckers. I don't get it. Like, I truly don't get it. There are things that this man has said against everybody that you would just think would just be utterly uh, uh, disqualifying, just utterly disqualifying. And he's back in. Now, we could make the argument. The argument can be made because here on the other side of information, we're going to do both sides of the coin. The argument can be made that, Vice President Harris didn't have enough time to set up a campaign apparatus, only a 100-day campaign. I've heard that argument. If you're in the chat, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on that. There's the argument that President Biden should have stepped aside way longer and should have elevated either Kamala or we should have known that a primary was coming so the Democratic electorate could have chosen a person to take the mantle and defeat this scumbag. That's another side of the coin. Uh, but when I'm sitting there on election night and I'm seeing state after state. I It was so early that we knew we were screwed. I was surprised it was that early. I truly was. I was absolutely surprised that it was that early, and uh, i- the Democrats start waking up. For those of you who are on right now, just I say that as someone who is an elected Democratic state committee member from the county of Dauphin. I represent the Democrats in my county and the PA state Democratic Party level. The disaster in itself as well. But we'll get to that at another show. We need change. We need change. And it's not just the Republicans changing. We know that Elon and Trump are Nazis. We know that. We know what the other side is. But when you have Chuck Schumer's folding and passing legislation that is harmful to Americans, buddy, you got to go. You got to effing go. When you have senators like John um, Fetterman, what a POS. No, for real, what a POS. And indulge me, chat. I know I'm all over the place, but this article got me on got me on a rant, and I just want to get it out and get it off my heart. What an absolute POS in Senator John Fetterman. duped everybody into running as a progressive, which now he says, "Oh, I'm not a progressive. I'm a." Shut up. You lied to the electorate of Pennsylvania. All I'll say on that, I see a lot of Democrats, independents, Democratic leaning independents complaining about Fetterman. Let's be ready in 2028. Let's be ready in 2028 because he is going to come back around and expect our support. He's going to expect it. That is how arrogant this man is. He is going to expect it. And at this point, no one should give it. No one should give it. Has missed the most votes of almost any senator in the Senate, so he's not even good at his job. But to get to this place, lied to the Democratic electorate. And look, at this point, and now we're getting to a real heavy topic of conversation. Well, before I get there, I just want to say, Sharon said in the chat, Trump is being paid by the Russians. I could definitely see that. I could see Putin sliding him some money to destroy our country. And I'm the son of an international journalist who was vice president of Radio Free Europe, an institution that Trump has tried to defund, but then they did a lawsuit and now he pulled back on that. So it's just little victories. You know, we got to take the little victories where we can. Uh, but someone who grew up in Eastern Europe, knowing, I don't know him personally, but knowing of Vladimir Putin very intimately, this is a man who's a former KGB spy, not to be trusted. He hates the West. He hates the West because he believes that the West is the reason that the Russian Empire had declined, and that countries like Ukraine, the Baltics, uh, Azerbaijan, and others are not in the Russian Empire because being supported by the West of being their own sovereign nations. So he is hell bent on destroying us. Hell bent on destroying us. So is Trump a Russian agent? Could he be a Russian agent? 100%. 100%. And that is not far fetched at all because Trump loves dictators. He'll do anything to cozy up to him. James in the chat said, we have a minimum age limit for political office. Why in the HE double hockey sticks do we not have a maximum one? Heavy topic. Not really that heavy. When you have like senators like Grassley, 91 years old, I think he is now. Uh, Trump is decrepit. I don't care what people on the other side say, in the sense of, oh, he's vibrant, he has the energy. No, that man is only a few years younger than President Biden. And if you're going to make that same argument with Biden, you have to make that same argument with Trump. But they're hypocrites. So, um, uh, they're just hypocrites. Oh gosh, did I swear? There it is. There's the first one, guys. I'm gonna go broke. I'm gonna go broke on this show because the everything that is happening around us is just angering me. Um, James, I want to tell you, that's a topic that I brought up in our Democratic one of our Democratic Party meetings, and I was called ageist. I was called I was called ageist for even suggesting that we shouldn't be putting up people that like like that are literally decaying in front of our eyes in their seats. Now there is a flip side to this. I do. If someone has the yeah, this topic's so hard for me because I'm a huge Bernie fan. I'll just say that straight out, right out. I love Bernard Sanders. I do. I know that's not middle of the road. I know that, but I just do. Uh, because that man has been standing up for what's right, and as James said in the chat, relating to modern America since the '80s, or even like before then, standing up for LGBTQIA rights, uh, standing up for Medicare for everybody, making sure that everyone in the country can be healthy and doesn't have to choose between going and getting treatment or or feeding their family. So, but Bernie's getting up there too. So if we and James, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If we institute that limit, do we lose people that right now are fighting the good fight in the Senate as well? That's an open ended question. It's something I've grappled with because myself, as a young person, as a millennial, it's disheartening for me to see 90-year-old Grassley's establishment continue to plague us down. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Let me read something else in the chat here. Michael said, "So I have voted Democrat for my entire life. What's your view on it being effing April and no defense really being mounted?" I think it's inexcusable. I don't. I think everyone who is in Democratic leadership is weak right now. It's incredibly weak. We are playing against we're 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 playing against people that don't play by the rules. And I'm not saying that we should be breaking the law, anything of that nature. But what my opinion and what I am saying is that when Trump wants his legislation passed and he needs, you know, either congressional votes or Senate votes or what to do it on our side, we should never give it to him because they never would have gave it to us. These are the same people that tried to stall President Obama, and let's just be honest, because McConnell and them are racist, but tried to stall his whole legislative agenda just because they were mad that a black man was in office. That is the truth. I don't care what the other side says. That is the truth. Now, when Trump gets in, you think that, and not you, as in you, Michael. I'm just saying to the general masses who and to our Democratic leadership that is still talking about, oh, compromise. Oh, we need to work together and join hands and kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya. And no, we need to stall these MFers at every point of opportunity we can. No matter, in my opinion, especially with this current administration, no matter what it is. And to see Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries not put up the fight that we should be putting up when when we take leadership, they shouldn't be our leaders in the Senate and in the House. They just shouldn't. But we know what's going to happen because this is how our government works. Who's made the most friends? Who's made the most connections? Who is, who's the establishment person that we all want to get behind, even though they have no policies that are going to help the people on the ground like us? That's who's going to be put up. And it's sad. It's unbelievably sad. So I think our Democratic leadership right now is a joke. I think that to answer your question, Michael, I believe for me, I've also voted Democrat my entire life. But going forward in the primaries, I will not vote for anyone that says that they are going to support this current leadership because they've shown us that they've failed. They can't they can't handle Trump as well. They can't handle it. I don't care how New York tough that Chuck Schumer says he is. They can't handle this man. They just cannot. And we need people in my opinion from the next generation that will. So if I could do a sprinkle of advice to you when you're looking at or and suggestion to you when you're looking at your candidates for your ballot going forward on our side, make sure we're really paying attention to who's going to go in there and just do the same old, and who is going to go in there and actually promote and push for systemic change. Now, I learned my lesson with Fetterman that, well, not with Fetterman, politicians lie all the time, but I've never, ever seen a politician flip the way Fetterman has in like a public realm. We've seen politicians flip, on certain issues, and we get mad at them for doing that, but they eventually come back into the fold. But I would make the argument that Fetterman is worse than even Manchin and Sinema, and those two people are like literal dumpster fire. Uh, Fetterman to go to Israel and to accept an award that is in the shape of a pager, which symbolizes the bombs that killed women and children, you need to resign. You need to resign. I say that as an elected Democratic Party official publicly. You need to resign. You have failed us all, and you're a failure of a senator. But Michael, yeah, and you're and just all around the only Democratic leadership that I see that is giving a defense and doing what we should be doing are Bernie, AOC, and I'll also throw out Tim Walz as well because they are going into congressional districts, holding town halls to fight back against this oligarchy. And that's the type of Democratic fight back leadership that we need, not just when we're in the minority, but when we do get the majority, because I do believe we will get the majority in the midterms, just with how much of a dumpster fire th- this is. This is not turning out to be. We knew it was going to be like this. But as Secretary Clinton said in her article, I actually want to quote it, if I may. Um, she said it was a great quote. Um, she said that basically, the Signal group chat is the least of our concerns. The absolute least of our concerns, because it is a concern, but this is going to get even worse. James in the chat said, if you can't relate to modern day America, GTFO. I, yeah, the time is done to support candidates who can't connect with the American public. Um, and with a track record of doing so. So I agree. James, you also said yes, but we'd regain them from the current administration. It's one thing to fight for the current generation, something else to live for it or to live it. Very true. Very true. That's an interest. You're gonna give me. You got me thinking tonight. That's really true. And just with the maximum age limit that you were talking about, yeah, I just don't want to lose the fighters that we currently have because we don't have many. We really, really, truly don't. See my water bottle and it's yellow. I'm not drinking urine. It's pee in there. So I just want to make sure that things are not that bad that we're having to drink our own urine as of yet. Um, but I didn't want people to see that and be like, "Oh my gosh, man, what is he doing?" Um, so so James said, "Put GTPR in the White House." Yeah, everyone on this program would do way better than what's going on right now. I mean, just absolutely way better. Um, I know that I touched on this in the previous show that I did on Thursday, but I'd like to touch on this too again. Ooh, this signal, uh, what's the word to call it? This signal, chat, drop words that I can call this signal debacle. Could we agree on that? This signal, uh, catastrophe, if we could agree on that, is very scary. Very scary. Um, Pete Hegseth, oh, what a POS, is making us less safe, not more safe. Isn't that crazy? A secretary of defense. I, we haven't had a secretary of defense that has made us less safe. Well, you could argue. Let's X out the Trump administration. I would argue since Donald Rumsfeld, to be honest, because they that administration is honestly like to me the same thing, except they're just more like suit and tie, able to put it like their crimes and war crimes like in a better way to the American people. That's why that's why during this past election, and this is something the vice president did that made me tear my hair out. And I'm bald. And I'm bald. I'm bald now because of that election. I had hair. I at least had a little hair. But one by one I just tore it out. Because we don't want, as people with values, a love fest for Liz Cheney. People who don't believe a woman should have the right and the access to an abortion. But why is our Democratic Party cradling to them? We see it happen. Gavin Newsom going on, uh, and you know he's going to run for president, but going on national radio, international radio, and talk shows with Steve Bannon. What the? Oh my gosh. And throwing trans kids under the bus. Also saying that the left of the Democratic Party is toxic. No, we believe in human rights. We believe in decency. We believe in community. And we're going to fight like hell to get it. And, and, and I I'll say it here right now. What is the date? It is March 30th of 2025. Gavin Newsom is the establishment's next candidate for president. And I say that because we are seeing him tilt to the middle. We're seeing him try to speak to Republicans. Newsflash, Democratic Party, The Republican Party is lost. They are lost and they will never be found. They have been hijacked by Nazis. They have been hijacked by folk who are taking children who have grown up in this country and dropping them in countries that they have no idea about that country. ICE is a Gestapo. So what blows my mind, and Michael, this goes to kind of your of not only is there no defense, but when we come to election times, we have Democratic leadership that is trying to make us feel good by saying, look at the common decent Republicans like Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney, and who at the very least don't want our government to crumble and respect the outcomes of election. I'm not interested in the bare minimum. That is the bare minimum, and those are still people who believe that myself as a black man, women, minorities, gay men, women, trans persons should not have rights in this country and equal rights. So so I am struggling with our current Democratic Party. I truly am. And it's not going to change until the Democratic electorate gets smart and stops pushing establishment candidates through in the primaries. That is just the fact. That is the fact. I have no issue saying that publicly or anything. Let me go to the chat here. I'm sorry, I went on a rant again. Um, those fighters would be succeeded by those with youth. Father Time wouldn't be knocking on their door as much. James also says another possible solution would be to limit all terms. The POTUS can only serve two times for now anyway. Why aren't senators limited to the same? I love term limits. I absolutely love term limits. I would even be okay with a staggered approach in the sense of if if someone, let's say someone's elected to the Senate twice, they serve 12 years. They cannot run another time like consecutively. Now, and let's say they're out for 6 years and they run again and the people put them in again, so be it. I would even be fine with that compromise because that would at least allow a 6-year time period for new blood to get in and the electorate to get to know other candidates that don't sit on these massive war chests that are impossible to beat. So, so do I think we'll get a huge like like across the board term limit? Uh, Senators can only serve a certain amount of terms. I'm going to be honest. I don't think we'll ever get that because what senators that especially that we have now, except for senators with values like Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and such. Excuse me. Gosh, my allergies are dying. Uh, what senators do we have now that would vote to X themselves out of their own job? I just don't see it. I truly don't see it. It's unfortunate. But I think one thing that maybe should just be brought into the conversation is a staggered approach. A staggered approach of like a senator can serve 2 terms, you cannot serve 3 terms consecutively. You have to sit out, which would provide someone else to get in for another 6 years. And then if the electorate later puts them back in, well, Shiza. That is, I guess I'm gonna swear in other languages. Uh, Sakura. That is that's what happens, but it at least gives a chance for new blood to get in. Now let's talk about the other side of information, the other side of that coin. You're gonna have people that are gonna be like, well, elections are term limits. Term limits are elections. You would think, but super PACs when we have politicians that are bought and their campaign war chests are filled with uh with money that basically gets them over the finish line in elections. We need campaign finance reform. That's what we need. That's what we need. We need that badly. Uh, so also because I see this time, I know last time we were having technical difficulties with the stream. So I want to excuse me. I want to revisit a topic. I'm just getting out my notes here. Um, that we talked about last time. Jeff Kennedy has made this an international show. So I know that this is going to be very Pennsylvania specific, but I will say electorally, we are most, I would argue, the most important uh, state in the electorate. It really just comes down to us. Uh, so I'm going to give good update, which I know is very hard to find uh, during these times, but I would like to give a very positive update, not just for Democrats, but for people with any effing decency and who want to see our government succeed, who want to see the United States succeed, but everybody within uh, the United States uh, succeed as well. Excuse me, I must plug in my laptop before I get to that because my laptop told me it was dying. See, when I go on these rants, I don't even know my laptop is dying. My fault, guys. My apologies. That boycotting all stores and organizations that are wiping away their DEI initiatives because let's just be honest, that basically means that they're racist, and it also means that they are towing to uh, this racist agenda and this racist presidency. Uh, but I will say it was hard to find a laptop from a place that isn't doing that. We'll just say that. Okay, we are ready and we are back. So last week we had a special election in Pennsylvania, and I'm giving this update to everyone tuning in from around the country because I believe it pre-tells it is showing us what's coming election wise. What's coming? I'm from Dauphin County, which we house the seat of government of the capital city of Harrisburg. But our neighboring county is Lancaster County, which, except for the city of Lancaster and maybe a few boroughs, is very predominantly Republican. It's changing. It's definitely changing, but it is still very predominantly Republican. Um, there was a special election, and let me give you like the map of Lancaster County. So the northern part of Lancaster County, very Republican. This is a senatorial district that Trump won by about 13 points. So this isn't some battleground. This is not some, place where Democrats usually succeed. The last time a Democrat held a state Senate seat in this district was the 1800s. The 1800s. You heard me correct, everybody. The 1800s. Democrat James Malone, who is the mayor of a small borough in that district, the incumbent, the incumbent state senator, uh, by about 500 votes. First of all, if anyone tells you that voting doesn't matter, I don't know what else they need to see. I truly, truly do not know what else they need to see. But this is a district that Trump won by 15 points last year, and Mayor Malone claimed victory with less than 500 votes. Guys, it's huge. It's huge because we are seeing that these ineffective, disastrous policies are starting to even affect negatively people in Trump's base. And you know what? They may not even learn. They won't even learn until it affects them. And that really sucks to say, but that's a lot of this country. This is a society that's very me, 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 me. But you, your pocketbook is now being affected. Um, and Mayor Malone beat the incumbent state senator by less than 500 votes. Now, I want to give credit where credit is due. The new DNC chair, Ken Martin, he was out here. He was out here door knocking. Which is something we haven't seen from former leaders and especially DNC chairs of the National Democratic Party. At least I haven't seen. But he was out here door knocking. Democrats organized, and let's just be honest, we out organize Republicans way better. We have the foot soldiers. We put in the work. This is what happens when we put in the work. This is what happens when we also continue to speak out and stand up and say no, this is not right, but this is also what happens when a megalomaniac like Trump gets the reins of the government. And I'm calling it right now. What we are going to see, what we are going to see is a huge blue wave in the midterm elections. I truly believe that because, and I say that not because I have faith in the American electorate, because it's let us down twice now, uh, in the past almost decade. But I do have faith in when Americans are being hurt by policies, they will vote for what is going to help their pocketbook. And and we're going to see Democratic wins. And that is why. This is where I want to leave off on tonight. That is why we need to select our candidate so carefully. We have to. We have to. I would say attend town halls, but they're too cowardice to do that. But we have to not just continue holding them accountable, but we have to, if protesting is your thing, get out and protest. If writing letters to your congressmen or senators is your thing, keep writing letters. If if uh if posting on social media is your thing. Now there's a lot of keyboard warriors these days. I will say that. Uh but I know I post on my social media just to just take aim at Trump and the Republicans and such, and just so people know that we are still here and we're standing up. Keep doing that. It is important. It is very, very important. And to close, I would like to quote uh, Secretary Clinton again. If we continue making mistakes like this, signal chats will be the least of our issues. And we're going to see that. We're definitely going to see that. Appreciate all of you for still tuning in, having these discussions. I know it's new. I know we're used to Jeff. This is my first time doing anything like this, so I'm still getting used to it and trying to structure my work schedule around it and such. Uh, but it's an honor. It's a true honor because there is no man, very, very few men or women in this country like Jeff Kennedy. There just truly are that constantly stand in the gap for people who cannot stand in the gap for themselves. And it's an honor to be on here with all of you. Uh, I appreciate all the comments in the chat. Thank you. When we go live again uh, this week and next weekend, please keep tuning in, keep commenting. I will have guests. We were going to have a guest today, former vice president of Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, former head of the NPR Middle East Bureau, and former foreign correspondent Joyce Davis. We're going to get her rescheduled so you guys can be on here, ask her any questions that you have. That's going to be a great discussion because that's also my mom. And she loves telling me when I am wrong. So you're going to, and our dinner table is crazy. So when I go over for dinner, so you guys are, that's going to be a great discussion, but I'm also excited for you guys to join in the discussion as well. But we're going to have a lot more guests trying to get some uh, uh, congressional candidates on the show. But the sky's the limit, and that's something that we see with Jeff every week. So be patient with me. You have been, and I appreciate it. I'm still learning, but I will get in the groove of things, and we will keep these conversations going. So for tonight, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to continue having these great discussions and keep up the fight. We need you. We need you. We need us. We need everybody. So no matter where you live, we're all in hands of solidarity and joining in solidarity. So thank you all. We will be back on soon. Keep up the fight. Stay strong. This is the other side of information with Jeff Kennedy, temporarily hosted by myself, Cole Goodman, his brother from another mother, and we